Hi, everyone. I'm Jack. Welcome to the official Isles Den YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a lot more Islanders postgame show and podcasting content for this upcoming season. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. You can also find my weekly podcast on Twitter at Isles House, co hosted by myself at Isles Den, Ethan at EthanGSN, and Rocco at Pizza Sports Guy, all on Twitter. Thank you for joining me. What is going on, guys? To open it back up, back at it. Another show. Tonight, we have a very special guest in Pinholes Graham joining us. We're not going to do call ins today. We're going to have live comments, our reactions. And before we move on, we're going to get right to the game. We're going to get right to the highlights, lowlights on the Islanders' end. For me personally, first highlight tonight, not being in attendance. Although I would have loved to see Matthew Schaefer's first NHL goal, it was the 4-0 start. Definitely wasn't how we wanted to kick things off. Home opener, excited fan base, and 2 minutes into the game, we have a Capitals goal. So definitely a tough start for the Islanders, but once again, we have highlights, a lot of them, and we also have our lowlights, obviously, in a 4-2 loss. But oh my goodness, Matthew Schaefer logged 26 minutes of time on ice, scored his first NHL goal, and it was just like this was one of the most electric first NHL goals I've seen. Obviously, nothing's more electric than that Nel Yakupov one from way back in the day. Um, but man, this kid just skates in, flies in there, and I'm glad after 2 hours the NHL gave him the goal. We were able to move on with the game. The Islanders got a power play, but it just couldn't get that third goal. Even though I like how they played, similar to Pittsburgh the other night, they were just all over it, man. They really gave themselves a chance. Um, we'll talk more on Schaefer, but next up, we got to go with Maxim Shabanov. This kid, although he didn't score tonight, I mean, my goodness, he is just so creative out there, so dynamic, and the Islanders, I think, found something here. This kid playing with so much confidence, and it's not like he's out there with Barzell every shift. It's not like he's out there with Horvat. He's doing it with Pajot and Holmstrom, hitting the crossbar from ridiculous angles. So impressed with Maxim Shabanov. Another honorable mention, similar to Paul Mary last game. Want to give a shout out to one vet. Anthony Duclair has been awesome these first two games, in my view. I even tweeted out while we were down 4-0. Look, I know we're getting worked, but really happy with what I see from Anthony Duclair. So hopefully he keeps building on that. This looks like the player we signed last year in free agency. So that's good. And one surprising positive I'll give to them, special teams have looked much better. Okay, the penalty kill definitely has some work to do, but looking at that penalty kill in the first period, there was nothing lucky about it. Sometimes when you have a successful kill, it's like, all right, that could have been a goal. That could have been a goal. There was nothing for Washington. So that first penalty kill was awesome. And obviously the power play. I mean, not only does the power play, Dom and I were talking about it the other night. The power play didn't get the results, but man, they were moving the puck. They had open guys. And this time they actually potted two goals. And I just wasn't surprised by that. So good to see 2 for 3 on the man, 2 for 3 on the man advantage. Obviously, Schaefer got his first. So happy for the kid. And now we can get to the lowlights. Um, while Matthew Schaefer had 26 minutes, there was a graphic on the MSG broadcast, and it showed that Romanov's minutes were cut to, I believe, 15. And uh, the Islanders just signed Romanov to what, an 8-year contract. This is not a guy who they want playing 15 minutes a night. And you could see why it's happening. Him and D'Angelo have been objectively a disaster in these first two games. And it might be time already for some switching. I mean, there's some guys hanging down there in the lineup that look pretty good. I think Siplikov had his game running tonight. He didn't have it opening night, but tonight, man, like he's finding Gatcomb and Cizikas for these chances. And it's kind of I'm watching the game and it's unfortunate because there's not much more of these players are going to do with the puck. And Siplikov's putting them in good spots. I was happy to see him and Shabanov got one shift towards the end of the game. And one more on the low light. So I pointed out Romanov's time on ice. I wasn't so happy with that. And I just didn't like, I want to say, kind of the structure and the poise defensively. I mean, we're talking about veteran players here. And, Holmstrom lays the body, not lays the body, lays down, blocks a shot pretty heroically. This guy can't get up. And, there's a scramble in front of the net. We can't retrieve, the Islanders can't retrieve the puck. And these defensemen are just, they have no idea where to go. It was unfortunate because Ryan Leonard ended up scoring the goal to make it 3-0. And that was personally the most frustrated I was all night because I felt like Schaefer is just this kid's unbelievable. I just don't even know. I don't even know what else to say. I've run out of words and we're in game 2. He's 18 and he's logging 26 minutes flying through the neutral zone. It's like, I say this about, like, I'm not comparing the two, but I do tell when my friends don't watch hockey and they're like, explain Connor McDavid to me. What I say is this guy is like, you put the game sliders on in a video game and you put the speed all the way up to a 99. That's kind of what that's kind of what I'm seeing with Schaefer. I mean, he'll just get through anything. The kid's will to compete is just out of this world. Like the Islanders are down 4-0. This kid is fighting his ass off to keep every puck alive, throw everything on net. This kid's a winner and it's something they need, but the veterans, there just has to be more poise and not knowing where these guys are in the front of the net with that second goal was just ugly. At the end of the second period, Sorokin, who I'm sure many of you are quote unquote concerned about, he makes a brilliant save on a 3-on-1. But if there's 5 seconds left in the period, and this is a veteran team with some really young players on it, that just can't happen. It's like the game should have been 5-1 right there. And just the situational awareness of this hockey team right now is just it's concerning. It can get back to coaching. Like it does get back to coaching, unfortunately. But it's hard to get so hard on the coach for me right now since I see improvements in little things. The young players look awesome. I like how he's handled Shabanov playing with Pajot and Holmstrom. It seems like he's really found his footing, built confidence, and man, I see a really bright future for him. But enough of me. So tonight we're going to be having Pinholes Graham hop on. He's a content creator on YouTube. He may have some New York Islanders content coming out soon. Just maybe. But yeah, excited to bring him in and get some Washington Capitals eyes on this New York Islanders team. Pinholes, how are we doing, my friend?
We're doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jack. We're doing a little bit better than we were 3 hours ago before the game. That was a good one. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It was so it's 4-0, and I saw positives even when it was 4-0, but it's just so hard because the Islander fans, this is not a team that finishes first in attendance every year, right? And it's opening night. There's so much excitement around this fan base to see the first overall pick. And there's some veteran guys returning. I wouldn't say it's unreasonable to have a smidge of high expectations for this group and to come out and be down 4-0. I'm glad that we could talk about it more fondly now that it was a 4-2 loss.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about that, you mentioned that some of the breakdowns that led to the first, well, I guess all of the Capitals goals were, maybe some people were wearing the goat horns for those, but honestly, I felt like definitely at least the first 2 goals were just really, really unlucky bounces. Actually, the third one too, now that I think about it, because the first one was just this brutal bounce right off of
That was brutal.
Romanov straight to Farivari, and I think maybe Palmieri should have been playing the body better on Farivari, who was coming into the crease. But all the same, that was a brutal bounce. Leonard's goal, I mean, it was going wide by like a foot.
Oh,
and it
man.
just goes off of
Of course, Scott Mayfield too, the guy everybody just wants to throw eggs at.
Is he
He's one of the
whipping
guys.
boy?
He's
Oh
one of the
no.
guys in this fan base, man.
Oh, that sucks for him. The Protoss' first goal, maybe Pajot could have made a harder play on the puck as it was coming back in from Chikrin, but
Yeah,
as it happened, Chikrin just happened to put it right between the two defenders who were
bad
there.
bounce. I can
Yeah,
live
and
with that
I
one.
wouldn't blame Sorokin for any of the
No.
goals either. I mean, they were just great shots or bad bounces either way, you know?
Yeah, that third one, I mean, you just can't blame him. That second one, I mean, he's in between the dots, all alone in the slot. Like, I get it. He's supposed to be an elite goalie, but I mean, we're just finding something to be mad at, you know?
Yeah. And the Caps, like last year, they had a, for lack of a better word, well, I can't think of any word aside from just deadly offense. Deadly. I mean, their shooting percentage was crazy. And
Oh yeah,
it was a big question for them going into the playoffs. Like, will they be able to sustain it? Butch Goring mentioned it on the MSG feed
he
for
did.
this game, saying, like, is it everything went right for them last year, which I don't entirely agree with. But will they be able to keep it up this year? And like it so far, it looks like, when they're rolling, they are. So I don't think there's any shame in giving up just a couple looks and against this team, them ending up in the back of your net. I mean, I obviously it's a loss, so it's. I mean, there's only so much I can say, but I wouldn't take it too hard, especially because it's only the second game of the season.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to watch a really really bad hockey team all season, and after 2 games, I don't really feel like I don't really feel too worried, and it's just because you see flashes here and there. Something about the Leonard goal that stood out to me. So it's 2-0 Capitals, I think, after the first period. And to start the second, the Islanders were kind of buzzing. I remember the shots were like 10-2, maybe after the first, it was bad. But then you take a look at the shot total, it's like 10-9, and the Islanders are building momentum and they're trying hard to get back in this game.
Yeah,
And there's just this one moment where the Capitals do get it deep. They have one good shift and it's over. Barzell's been on the ice for 2 minutes. Pellick's been on the ice for 2 minutes. And they see a seam where Barzell can maybe break away. And like it just it wasn't gonna connect. And Pellick tries to make this pass, turns into an icing. And that's really where that power play came from for Washington. And that ended up being the 3-0 goal. Just wanted
oh,
to
but
point
that was
out.
a bad call, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Protus just
Ugh.
stubbed his toe.
Yeah. Don't
That's
get me, it's brutal, but it's just the veteran, it just bothers me, that play from Pellick, because Barzell's been on the ice for 2 minutes. You've been on the ice for 2 minutes. We're in the second game of the season, buddy. Like, just regroup, give it to your partner. Let's get a change and let's keep building. It's like that needs to be Pellick's made some boneheaded plays over the last few years, but
mm.
you know, just can't be having that. But yeah, man, like tough loss for us. But I mean, give us your initial watch of Matthew Schaefer.
Man, he's I mentioned to you, he's the real deal. I admit I was excited, but maybe a little bit skeptical coming into the game because I remember hearing the same hype about Lane Hudson before the Capital Series against the Canadians last year. And Hudson is insanely good. He's so
Oh yeah,
talented. But I remember thinking during the series and after the series over the summer, like he might be, top 3 talented defenseman in the league, but I never felt like, or not yet anyway, that talent was able to translate into sort of taking over the game. Tonight, I saw Matthew Schaefer take over the game for
it's
maybe
wild.
3 or 4 individual separate shifts I think in the third period alone.
Yeah,
Um, it is scary seeing him and Matthew Barzell come down the
it's awesome
center
to
and the
watch,
right
man.
wing. Has Matthew Barzell ever had someone
No,
that fast with
no,
him?
it's crazy to watch too.
Yeah, and the thing that impressed me the most about Schaefer, aside from his skating ability, is he knew when to get. He was able to identify very very split second moments when he was able to get the puck to the net. Now, kids coming up nowadays, so I hear. I'm not a coach or anything. They have generational releases. Like it's all wrists, and the puck is going like 80 miles an hour towards the net. I saw that on display at least a couple of times with him, and the fact that he was able to make those plays of getting the puck to the net while there was, usually it was a one-timer. He would the puck would come to him at the point, he just one-time it to the net, off balance, maybe someone in his face, 3 or 4 people, maybe, the field is reversing the other way, and then he just all of a sudden I blink and Logan Thompson is fighting through a screen to make a save. I think that happened maybe, I kid you not, half a dozen times. And Schaefer had 8 shots in this game. That is such a, it's a very old school adage, but getting the puck to the net is such a basic, fundamental ingredient in winning. And Schaefer, I feel like, is the first player I've seen that is able to do that from the blue line as easy as breathing. I mean, he did it like every time he was out there. It was insane.
Yeah, I mean, so much hype around the first overall pick always, and I think it's really funny you bring up Lane Hudson too, because on our last show, I actually said to myself, last year when you're on Twitter, you have these Habs fans, and you just always see Lane Hudson, and I follow a couple of guys, and they're always fighting with these Habs fans, like Lane Hudson's better than Jake Sanderson or something, and I'm like, man, these Habs fans, and then like you click on a page, their last 10 tweets are about Lane Hudson, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be like this with Matthew Schaefer. And then, like, my goodness, my goodness, it's like every play with this kid. It's like it's so hard, like, not to just. It's like really the shining light on this team right now. And I fully agree with your point. When you're lining up a shot, and it looks so easy for it to just get there, like the fans are yelling shoot, but to actually find a way to get it on net, create rebounds, it's just so impressive. And you guys got a nice goalie over there in Logan Thompson. I know that, maybe he was like a split starter in Vegas. I know he didn't get the playoff run. I know that was Aiden Hill, but man, he took that personal and he looks good.
Yeah, we have a lot of players on the Caps who have chips on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Good for morale.
Yeah, and I just also wanted to touch on another Capitals player that stood out. Like, I mean, obviously Protus, man, that kid, you guys have something with him too. He was like he had like 3 or 4 grade A chances for a hat trick. Sorokin didn't want to wait for another Capitals ceremony at UBS, I guess.
Yeah, he last season, I looked it up just before the call because I felt like you'd bring it up. Last season he had 50 even strength points, which is really good.
Oh, yeah.
Connor McDavid had 51.
Wow.
Mitch Marner had 50. So he was right there with those guys. He had more than Jack Eichel. I mean, I guess it's more impressive that he does all that. He produces points only at 5-on-5, and it's more saying that he doesn't get special teams time. But all the same, he was I remember the day he was drafted. I was working at a skating rink, and I was watching the draft go by on my phone. I was like, okay, round 1, Connor McMichael. Oh, looks like he'll be pretty good. Round 2, Brett Leeson, overager, people saying he might be the steal of the draft. That's great. Then we got to Lexi Protus, and it's the 3rd round. No one knows who anyone is.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, whatever. And then over the past just like maybe 2 or 3 years, it took a couple of years, but over that amount of time, just the last couple of years, it just nothing. I mean, he was just kind of a player. He was going to maybe be bottom 6, maybe middle 6. And then just last year, Spencer Carberry chalked it up to, he chalked it up to him, I think it was conditioning. He said he became much more conditioned over the summer of 2024. But I mean, it's got to be more than that. The guy just has so many tools. We saw 2 snipes tonight, and he was in, one was off a great, offensive read at the blue line on D'Angelo, and the other was just finding the soft spot in the defensive zone as the puck reversed field. He's not a hitter, but he can box people out because he's enormous.
He's built like a unit.
Yeah, he's massive. He's got a huge reach. He's so smart. He's fast. He's just like, he's got so many things that are like not A+ grade, but everything is an A, which is, I think, pretty rare. He's great defensively too. The word kind of gets overused, but he's a unicorn in a sense.
He is. No, he really just like last year came out of nowhere. And, people kind of underrate these stats of like 5v5 power play, but when you're in the NHL, and you can even ask former players this, I've heard them say it. When you're producing at that clip, even strength, like that's when you know someone's really legit. And it's just impressive to see from him. There's actually a guy on the Islanders I wanted to ask you about, and it's because there's some Islander fans that don't really love the decision they made in a draft a couple of years ago. This one's kind of out of nowhere. Connor McMichael, Simon Holmstrom. I mean, what did you really catch much of Holmstrom other than him, laying on the ice twice for like 30 seconds?
You mean in tonight's game specifically?
Tonight in general. Just would love your thoughts on him and if like what you see out of him. If you maybe like even if you rather have him or McMichael going forward, like who do you think has the better career?
Oh, 100% I would choose McMichael, but not because I think he has a higher ceiling or whatever than Holmstrom. I don't know too much about Holmstrom. I think it was you or someone else, some other Isles creator tweeted out that he was the perfect human being or the perfect hockey player or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, he seems pretty solid. He, I, man, that play, I can't help but think about like, I hope he's not hurt because
He came back. I don't know how he came back.
he took one from, I think, McMichael straight off the ankle and
Oh
then one
yeah.
from Chikrin. And like Chikrin
Oh
can really bring it.
yeah.
But anytime you can get a guy on a PK that can, it's cliche, but anyone that can eat pucks on the penalty kill is super great. I don't know what his capabilities are like offense wise. What's his ceiling look like?
He's like a really interesting offensive player. So he has a really high shooting percentage actually, but it's not something that's like it's not an isolated incident. Like he genuinely picks his spots on the ice, like when he's gonna shoot, and he's got a nice shot. He has some like really underrated skill. You go watch some of his shootout goals, they're really impressive, but for whatever reason, like I don't like he has all of these tools, but the best part of his game to me is how he can play defensively. Like there
Mhm.
was a penalty kill tonight where he was just awesome. And I'm not even sure it was the one where he blocked the shot and went down, but he was just all over the place. He's that guy you want on the ice at the end of a game, like protecting a lead. That's my favorite part about him as a player, and he's effective enough offensively to where he's not a fourth liner.
Yeah.
But yeah, McMichael looks like he's a guy that could probably give you around like 50 to 60 point seasons consistently, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's where we put him. And he honestly might, I don't want to promise anything, but he might just end up being a top line guy.
Yeah, they put him there to start the game, I think, right?
Yeah, right now I'd say definitely he's top 6 quality. Like he could go in first line, second line. There was a question in training camp over whether or not he would be a third line center just because we didn't really have anyone to fill that position, but then
I
Hendricks
forgot he
there.
played center.
Yeah, that's where he was drafted. I think he played there in juniors and in Hershey, if memory serves. But he can honestly he could play anywhere. Last season, I think he spent time on the fourth line.
Yeah,
But he's best served in the top 6 for sure.
gotcha. And there was a play in the first period where Tom Wilson hit Matthew Schaefer. You and I predicted that before the game. We knew it was coming. But there was also a quote from Tom Wilson where he was talking about, he's a good kid. He's going to be ready in this league. I know he's got it all mentally, but physically, I might challenge him just a little bit. And it was just that was just like a funny moment in the game to me.
Yeah, and Wilson was the one who ended up on his wallet. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I think he definitely eased up a little bit, but
just a
just
little bit.
let him know he's there.
Yeah, he had to make his presence felt one way or another, but yeah, Shabanov, man. I mean, Schaefer and Shabanov are definitely like the two most eye-opening players for me when I look at this roster. Like Shabanov, you don't even know the reason he just impresses me because you don't even know something's there, and he's
Yeah.
just the spin move, the shot off the crossbar. Some of the looks, the look he gave Holmstrom early in the game on a 2-on-1, it was just such a beautiful pass. What'd you see from him?
Exactly what you saw. That ability to just let play be dead, and then bam, there's a shot right off the crossbar, or he does that 360 right into the slot and somehow doesn't
Crazy.
score.
What a
It was
save by Thompson there.
Yeah, I mean Thompson. I'll get to him in a minute. But he reminds me a lot of a young Alex Radulov, because Alex Radulov, if memory serves, I think this is young him and not like Canadians him, but he would sort of play kind of that in that low key way, and then in the blink of an eye, he's through someone and ringing a shot off the crossbar or something, or he's making an insane play. Pavel Datsyuk was kind of the same way. Of course, Pavel Datsyuk is in a league of his own.
Yeah.
But yeah, that. It's a really good sign from him. I'm surprised he didn't get one tonight, honestly. I was worried for a second that his shot off the crossbar went off the back bar. But I could easily see him being, like a 25, 30 goal scorer easily. I think he already has one this season.
Yeah, he
41 goal pace.
Yeah, he came out in the preseason, and in his first couple of games, like you would see like a flash here and there, but you wouldn't see much. And it was just like, all right, it's the preseason, no time to panic. But the thoughts trickle through, like, is this gonna work? And he's on the power play in the last preseason game. Our guy Siplikov finds him in the slot. He scores. It was a nice goal. Nothing special, nothing too crazy. And after that goal in the preseason game, you could just see it building and building. And all of a sudden, in the real game, he's ready to go, and he is just out there flying. So,
what was the expectation for him coming into the season? Was it just like he makes the league if he makes the league, or what?
I would say for Islander fans, I think we all kind of have the same feeling on him. So it's either this guy's going to come in and he's going to produce and he's going to be a real scorer and he's going to be a real solution for us, or he's like going to just be a guy who can't bring his skill over from the KHL, and it's another KHL kind of like bust, I'll say.
Adam Shipachyov.
Yeah, there's so many of them. There were just crazy comparisons for Shabanov, but just you got to weather the expectations a little bit. I mean, us Islander fans, we aren't used to just like snagging talent like Schaefer and Shabanov in an off season. It was really fortunate with Schaefer. But yeah, it looks like they have a player there, and I just hope that they put him in the top 6 soon, because I mean, towards the end of these games, him and Schaefer are getting more ice time. They're creating more chances, but do you think it's a little bit concerning playing Schaefer 26 minutes in game 2?
I think since it's the home opener, I think this is probably a bit of an exception.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think Patrick Waugh understands that, like, he could be, the face of the franchise in the future. The jury's still out. It's only 2 games, but he's a number 1 overall pick and looks fantastic. He's only going to get one first impression in front of the Islanders faithful. And he was doing great, halfway through the game. So I'm sure Patrick Waugh was like, you know what, just milk it for all it's worth. So no, I don't think it's concerning. In fact, I would have done the same thing probably if I was him. He definitely seems like their number 1 though. He's definitely going to get like maybe 21, 22 minutes a night. God forbid, he gets injured or anything, assuming he stays healthy. But no, I don't think he's going to get 25 a night.
Yeah, it's just, he's 18, and I've said it like 70 times. Everyone knows he's 18, but, playing this many minutes and like looking this good, like do you even know who the last player to look like this at this age was? Because I really can't think of one right now. Any player.
Yeah. Well, McDavid. McDavid is the obvious.
He came up at he was there at 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I gotta be honest, I can't really remember most 18-year-old seasons off the top of my head. I think Owen Power didn't even play his age 18 season.
Yeah, he went back to
Rasmus Dahlin is a really good defenseman, but he's not really he doesn't have that same kind of flash. He's more, I guess, for lack of a better word, well-rounded. That's not to knock on Schaefer. Can't think of a better word. But yeah, I mean, again, only 2 games, but in this game, like, he was one of the best players on the ice. I don't know if he was the best, but across both teams, he was. I mean, there were, like I said, there were parts where he took over the game.
Yeah, for another team's fan to say that is just wild, because you're watching the same thing, but you don't know if you're just like delusional or just like hoping, but it's like
No, Islanders fans, if you saw that game and you thought, man, this guy is the real deal, you're right. You are right. He was really good.
It's just, yeah, it was something else. And, switching gears a little bit to the Capitals,
I just hope
couple,
he can keep it up, you know?
yeah, no, me too. And stay healthy, please. I mean, something that does worry me with him
Yeah.
is, when he's flying through the ice, I mean, this league is harsh and it's definitely not as harsh as it was 20, 30 years ago. But the other night in Pittsburgh, he just skated with his kind of head down all
Oh,
the way
no.
zone to zone. It just makes me a little bit nervous that someone's gonna even Chikrin tonight, like just like a little elbow. It wasn't anything too egregious. It's
Oh,
fine.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
oh, my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
That was a bad
The
call.
Islanders don't have anyone like Tom Wilson. They don't have, I mean, I'm sure the Capitals have more guys I can't think of right off the bat here, but we just don't have anyone to really answer the bell. I would have honestly liked to have seen someone go after Chikrin a little bit. Um, but that might be the old school fan in me. Oh, man. Yeah. He's got to be careful with skating zone coast to coast a little bit. But with the Capitals, I have to say, Ovechkin's kind of what I expected him to be. I feel like he's at the stage of his career where he's not running on the same fumes as last year. He's trying to get to 900, but it's a much different chase, a much different journey. He looked more like the guy who's just like, getting up there in age. Dylan Strome, I actually didn't notice him a whole lot, but should I have?
So that top line was Connor McMichael, Dylan Strome, and Alex Ovechkin. I felt like Strome had a good game, not necessarily a great game. I think Dylan Strome is a really good puck handler, and he's good at. He's a center that is really good at slowing the game down for Alex Ovechkin, particularly on zone entries. So what constitutes good for him in his mission as Alex Ovechkin's center is going to look different from a lot of other players. I thought he was really good with the cycle game tonight. Again, no, like snipes or incredible passes or defensive plays or anything like that. But I thought, he had a pretty good game. Ovechkin, I mean, he hit the post twice tonight. I think
I didn't even see him when he did it. The puck was just kind of hitting the guy's stick, right?
Yeah, I always say Alex Ovechkin's least appreciated trait is his ability to find space.
So true. I fully agree with that. He's so smart.
Yeah, it might sound kind of funny to hear because he's covered so much, but the fact that he can find space ever at all, being the greatest goal scorer of all time, and at least, maybe 4 or 5 times a night. Well, that might be a little generous, but a couple times a night at least for
every night.
Shots off the post, at even strength and not even including on the power play. I think it says a lot about him. His passing is also very underrated, but that's a story for another time. I thought he was, he had about as not game or play driving, but as offensively effective a game as I would have expected of him.
So last year over the summer, I remember the Capitals traded Darcy Kemper for Pierre-Luc Dubois, and I just remember everybody having their takes, and Capitals are so dumb for making this trade. And listen, I wasn't beating the drum for Pierre-Luc Dubois, but when you actually took a step back and looked at it, where the Capitals were, they kind of needed a center. Pierre-Luc Dubois for Darcy Kemper, who wasn't on the best contract, and the Capitals needed a different goalie than Kemper at the time. Not only was he underperforming and expensive, but he's the type of goalie where he needs a Los Angeles Kings 2024-25 defensive unit in front of him. And the Capitals weren't that before last year, ironically. I don't know. I didn't hate that trade because I looked at it as, okay, we're kind of trying to retool this thing and we need to take some chances. So 8.5, it looks so good now because, the cap going up and, the Capitals general manager, I don't think is the one who I mean to compliment. Isn't the president? What's the president's name again? It's escaping me.
McMillan. Oh yeah, Brian McClellan. He was
Yeah,
he did everything up until the start of last year, I believe, and now
yeah,
it's Chris Patrick
yeah. McMillan.
McClellan.
McClellan. Yeah, this guy just he does. I don't even think he gets his flowers enough.
Oh,
Maybe
he's
he does, maybe he
great
doesn't. But
GM.
yeah, all time great. Build a cup winning roster. The roster's like I wouldn't want to say falling apart, but definitely needs a shake up with Backstrom on the way out the door, Oshie, and Carlson's even getting up there. Yeah, and this guy has just done an amazing job. Taking a chance on a guy like Dubois is like kind of calculated because you don't know if you have that franchise center at that point with Dylan Strome to just take that chance. It's something I wish more GMs did. Sometimes it could really burn them, but Dubois has this ability in the D zone to be effective, and with the professionals around him, like a Carlson, like a Tom Wilson, like an Ovechkin, it
Mhm.
just kind of I feel like it was just like a place that can definitely turn someone's career around and become a success, and he just deserves all the credit for it. And a couple of years later, I know he had a great start last season. How do you still feel about him?
Well, the thing about Dubois and Kemper, for that matter, is I think the contract wasn't the only baggage that followed him to Washington, right?
Oh, yeah,
There were like rumors that he was like not
toxic.
great in the locker room, which seems like from everything I know about him, just seems completely false. Who knows where that came from?
Yeah,
Um, but the contract is interesting because Kemper, a bit of context, he was signed in the offseason of 2023, which was or excuse me, 2022,
yep,
which was a really, really bad free agency for goalies. There were just none that were. Kemper was the best. No disrespect to him, but it was a pretty shallow free agency pool, which is why it seems like an overpay because he was the only goalie the Capitals could really get after moving on from Vanacek and Samsonov. So that in a way kind of put the Capitals in a position where they could trade bad contracts. So even when, Brian McClellan messes up, it still ends up benefiting the Capitals. He can literally do no wrong. Anywho, last season, Pierre-Luc Dubois was the best 200-foot player on the Capitals, period.
agreed.
The only person you could maybe argue was number one instead of him was Protus, but I think it was Dubois. He was he was really snake bit to start the year. He didn't put up very many goals, but he's just so reliable. Again, it goes back to slowing the game down. Now he doesn't play with Ovechkin, so he's not slowing it down for Ovechkin, but it's more in the sense of he'll just neuter the offense of the enemy team. Tonight, I think we saw some pretty good examples of it. You got both goals on the power play. I wouldn't be surprised if going back into the numbers 5-on-5, the Dubois line didn't give too much up. And it doesn't really matter who he's with. It could be Dubois, Wilson, McMichael, Dubois, Protus, Wilson.
I've seen them juggle that a little bit with Wilson and Dubois. I feel like they're the
Mhm.
duo, and someone new kind of filters in and out of there sometimes.
Yeah, he's invaluable to the
Yeah.
Capitals. Connor McMichael would be our second line center, I assume, if we didn't have
Oh,
Dubois.
it's so
But
different.
but having that 1-2 punch of Strome, Dubois, I might even rank Dubois above Strome in terms of maybe even just ice time, but also overall utility. But they're like that 1-2 punch down the middle is so important for like any cup contender. And Strome and Dubois, they bring different things to the table, but they're both so good and so valuable. So like Dubois is no complaints, none at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a great move by Washington. I actually thought when they traded for him that, all right, they're really going all, they're just taking a chance here. I thought he would play with Ovechkin, but man, Strome, one of the most improved players over the last few years. And
Mm.
last thing, strictly Washington, but kind of strictly Washington. I almost forgot to ask you this, but you have the guy who scored one of the most important goals in recent Islanders history on the third line over there. What do you think of Anthony Beauvillier and his fit?
He's awesome. I mean, he's a pistol. He's a spark
Yeah.
plug. You need at least like 2 or 3 of those guys on every team that wants to be a contender who will just gut it out every single shift. In the
Yep.
series against the Canadians, he was money.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
mean,
Playoff
never
Beauvillier is
gives
a
up.
real thing.
Yeah, never gives up. We have him for another 2 years, which I think is great. I just hope he stays healthy and, he doesn't overwork himself before the playoffs, but love him.
Really, just Anthony Beauvillier for us. I mean, he had that playoffs where he had the 2021 playoffs where we thought he was really next up. He was going to be the next winger, next top six winger of this team for years to come. We let Eberle go to the Kraken during the expansion draft, and for Beauvillier, I mean, he just couldn't find the back of the net. And we end up packaging him in a deal for Bo Horvat. I mean, he was given every last opportunity, and it sucked. He's really a loved player for the fan base for good reason. And, he's in Vancouver, has a nice start there, but then they're like, nope, we're okay. He gets traded to Chicago. They're like, yeah, no, we're good. Traded to Nashville. And then he finds his way on that Penguins team last year that doesn't that they're not
They're not
they
going
don't
anywhere.
have yeah, they don't have
You can
like
say that they're bad. They were
yeah,
bad.
yeah, they're
I'm
just not.
happy to say the Penguins are bad.
Yeah, believe me, but Beauvillier was not part of their long-term plans. So you're like, this guy really might find his way out of the league. He just produced enough for Pittsburgh where Washington called them. And then we're like, all right, he's on the 90th team in the last few years. And then it's like, people were saying like he might not be in the league much longer. And he goes to Washington, he produces, and it's like a relieving feeling to see the guy ended up making a good career out of himself when it looked like he was in some trouble there.
Man, that's hard to believe that was the thought around him, because I always think that those guys have the best job security, provided they're not injured, is because every coach needs someone who is just balls to the wall every night, every shift, every
He,
breath.
I think that's a great adjustment he made to his game because when he was on the Islanders, like he was supposed to be a top six winger and that was his skill set. Like he wasn't so known for all the other things. And
Mm.
I think over the years, he kind of, maybe a look in the mirror and was like, all right, I might not score 30 goals in this league. I need to adjust my game a little bit. And he was always really loved within the locker room of the team. And he clearly is just a guy that everybody loves. And it's definitely just a great thing to see.
Mm. You know who that you mentioned what people were thinking of him. He used to be he was going to be a top 6 forward, and then he kind of fell out of the league. You know who that reminds me of? Is this might be a deep cut? Is Shane Prince?
Yeah,
He
that's a deep cut. Yeah,
he was
Shane
gonna
Prince.
wasn't he gonna be like he was gonna be a pretty decent player, and then he just kind of
Yeah, just went south. I mean, there's so many guys like that for the Islanders. You can go through the Hosangs, you can go through the Wallstroms, you can
oh
go
Josh
through
Osang, yeah.
you can go through the
Mm.
Dal Coles. The most recent one definitely. Oh, Kiefer Bellows. These guys all were. Thought they were going to be a solution at the top six in the top six. So that's why when like Sabinov comes in, the Islander fans are like, we're going to need to see something first.
Yeah.
He's shown a whole lot so far. So that's why it's just so awesome to see. Um, but yeah, how about we let's react to some comments here. Let's see how the fans are feeling after this game. I
You're the
assume
voice of the people. Let's do it.
yeah, let's do it. We're gonna start with Pony Boy Curtis, Baby Shafe with 26 plus minutes of ice time and a power play goal in the second game. Boys, this kid is effing ready. Pony
Yeah.
Boy, we fully agree.
Mm.
Shafe Daddy already belongs on the top line defense and first power play unit.
Yeah, what is the defensive depth situation like for the Islanders? Because I think they had him out there with Mayfield, I think. Like
Yeah, they
who
have him
who
out
do
there.
you envision as the best defensive partner for him?
So it's funny you ask. Like when I was on, so before we had before the whole off season, but when we knew we were taking Schaefer first overall, when it became like really the consensus draft pick. We had a couple of draft experts on the Isles House podcast I'm on, and I actually asked them the same question because Noah Dobson was still on the Islanders during it, and I was like, Schaefer definitely plays with Dobson, right? And they were like, with Schaefer, I think he's better off with someone who is going to be in good position, more known for defensively sound game and someone just kind of that fits Mayfield's style. So it was kind of always going to be Scott Mayfield or Ryan Pollock. And Pollock just has kind of he just hasn't looked the part the last few seasons. And they felt safer playing him with Mayfield. The right side of our defense is just, it leaves a lot to be desired. We have D'Angelo, Pollock, Mayfield. Um, and then we have Adam Boquist hanging around there as the seventh defensive man. And after that, we have Isaiah George and Bridgeport, who isn't even a right-handed shot, but he said he's willing to play the right side. I think some Islander fans want to see him brought up because it's just been a rough start.
Yeah, it seems like really solid right-handed defensemen. There's a dearth of them, it seems, I guess, compared to left-handers, at least.
Yeah, the first power play, though, right now has Tony D'Angelo on it. And let's face it, he hasn't had a great start to the season. Last year, he had 19 points in 35 games. And you see it in his ice time on opening night. This guy's leading the team with defensively in ice time. And it's like, Patrick Waugh, I don't know what you're doing here. Like, we have a full, healthy team. And, a lot of the fans love D'Angelo, like him. Maybe love's a strong word, but, he plays hard. He produces offense, but he's not someone who should be leading your defensive corps in ice time. So I kind of agree with this comment that definitely the first power play unit. Let's give that to the kid. He's already done,
especially
more
after
with
D'Angelo had that boo-boo that led right to the Protus goal. Or that wasn't the power play. That was Eden strength.
Well, actually, I want to get to that play. When I watched that live, I was kind of yelling at the TV. Come out, Sorokin. Sorokin, don't let him get this breakaway because he's not great on breakaways.
I felt like he could have got it.
Yeah, I think he should have came out, but he must have watched Nedeljkovic try that the other night.
Yeah, that'll set goalie boldness back decades.
Yeah, and it's like, I get the tweets like 10 to the goal and whatever, but you could have beat him there, and we're down 3-0. Like, man. He's just not good at those breakaways. I wish he was better at them. Pony Boy Curtis, Jack, I enjoyed listening to your show the other night. I didn't watch it live, listened after. Yeah, guys, if you don't catch this live, it's going to be on YouTube and Twitter, just kind of sitting there. So I saw that a lot of people watched the last stream, like even days after. So feel free to do that. But now that I know that, I'll be tuning in on the reg. Thank you, Pony Boy. We appreciate that. Listen, Drew, it's not Schaefer Daddy. It's Big Baby Schaefer. Yeah, Schaefer is just everybody's just focused on Schaefer, man. I believe I cracked on what the forward line should be going forward. I posted mine on Twitter like 5 minutes ago. All right, let's act like we're Patrick Waugh here, I guess. What would you make the forward lines? Maybe just the top 6 if you don't know everybody on the team.
Well, it'll have to be the top 6 because I don't know everybody. Well, I mean, you have to have Horvat's a center, right?
Yep.
So Horvat and Pajot probably. I don't think Pajot really puts out the offensive output to warrant a top 6 spot, if memory serves.
You're right. He's way better off being a third line center, and he's a pretty good one at that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he if he's traded to a contending team at the deadline.
But who else would be the second center on the Islanders?
Well, Barzal.
Oh.
Yeah,
boy.
It's easy to forget because he's.
Can you tell that I'm not terribly familiar with the Islanders lineup?
Yeah, no one could blame you after the last few seasons. So we got Barzal here. Like my option, I'll give you mine first. I actually tweeted it out during the game because we're down 4-0. It's getting a little bit frustrating. Let's see what I had. I had Siplikov, Horvat, Duclair. I don't blame you if you didn't notice Siplikov much because he was kind of stuck on that fourth line. He was number 7.
Reminds me a lot of Trent Hunter, just the way he moves and his size, and he's number 7.
Yeah, I love Trent Hunter back in the day, but Shabanov, Barzal, Palmieri, that would be my top 6.
Okay. I would move Duclair. I would switch Duclair and Palmieri. Would they both be on the right wing? Duclair's a lefty.
Yeah, Duclair. I did put a lefty at right wing.
Mm.
We also forgot about Jonathan Drouin, who, by the way, did get suspended for this game. I said that at the top of the last show that he probably would be, and he was. Only one game. He'll be back Monday. All right, next question here. Wish Lou never gave up that 13th overall pick. I told you this pre-show.
Yep.
Pinholes and I, we met a little bit before we hopped on, and I told him, I was like, yeah, there's some trades, and Islander fans are watching the Czar a little bit right now. So yeah, the kid is cooking, and it's kind of it's not the greatest feeling when you watch it, but we got to give Isaiah George some time here, guys. So let's try to pump the brakes on it. He was never ours. Craig, regular human bartender, send 48 down. He is clearly he's clearly our best player.
Come on.
But he's 18. Already took
a
headshot. Season's meaningless. So no point in putting a target on his back. Brett Lindros. Funny comparison, because I really took the time to learn about Brett Lindros recently, and his career. Oh, what a unit of a player this guy was! But
runs in the family, man.
I'd be lying if this didn't cross my mind. He's putting in all these minutes, and I just hope that nothing bad happens, because this team right now does not look primed to obviously contend. But Craig, just try to have some fun, try to enjoy it, and we haven't seen a player like this in a very long time. So yeah, he's going for the rookie of the year. He's not going down. Ownership wants the tickets. They want the eyes on this team, and with this kid around, that's not changing.
Yeah.
Lucky Isles 13. I asked this question myself. Was McDavid that good in 2015-16? I really remember him breaking out the next season. I was young, so I might be wrong. I'm going to look up his stats from his rookie year.
He had, I think, 48 points in his rookie year, and then he jumped to 100, I think, in his sophomore year. But he injured his collarbone. He went into the boards against the Blue Jackets in 2015-16, so that's why his points were lower. I think it was 48 and 48 or something. But he looked... I thought, and again, this was 9 years ago, and I was a baby back then, but I thought he looked, dominant. And I mean, he only got better. 2016-17 was definitely the season that he broke out production-wise, also partially because he was fully healthy. But I mean, I don't, with McDavid, I don't suppose it really matters which year he broke out, because he's Connor McDavid,
The fact that we could even draw those comparisons are just pretty wild. So 2016-17, I can't say I remember much of his rookie year, but he was clearly just so dynamic. And it's fair to say 10 years later, we have a rookie that is just, we have a rookie that you could dream of being one of the best players in the league in pretty soon. Ponyboy Curtis again. I saw a lot of empty seats in the third. At least that's how it appeared on the broadcast. So at UBS Arena, the low bowl is actually I think a VIP section, so it's hard to tell. And when the players were being introduced, it's really corporate, and it's not something I'm such a big fan of, because it does look empty a lot of the times. But yeah, it was a little bit weird on the broadcast when the players were being announced. I think that they muted the crowd noise like they do on ESPN during the playoffs and stuff, because I couldn't hear much ovation, and I have a hard time believing that place was not rocking for Matthew Schaefer's appearance. And let's see, I feel like that might be the last comment here. I'm going to check my Twitter.
While you're doing that, the Capitals just did something like that in Capital One Arena, where I think the seats behind the penalty box are now it's this thing called the VIP vault or something, and they were also empty. So
it's
no one likes corporate. I wish everyone was a nosebleed. That would make it so much more fun.
I know. Yeah, the nosebleed, the top sections at these hockey games. I mean, you get some of the greatest fans. You meet some of the greatest people out there, I swear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it looks like the comment section's done. So I feel like we could wrap things up here. Pinholes, thank you so much for coming on, and yeah, I'll leave it to you to share. We may or may not have some Isles comment coming out, so stay tuned. Pinholes is information, his Twitter, his YouTube. It's in the YouTube description, and I highly recommend checking him out.
Yeah, we'll have, or there will be some. Actually, no, it counts as we because you helped quite a bit with the research on this video.
Just a little bit.
I will have a video on a very special season in recent New York Islanders history coming out within probably the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a banger. It's going to be a great one. And I hope it is as impactful and pleasant to experience for you Islanders fans as it was to actually experience that season live. If I can evoke any of those emotions through my video, I will consider it a job well done. So keep an eye out for that in the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Well, guys, 4-2 Capitals win. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, Pinholes, for joining the show tonight. And yeah, we'll be back sometime next week.
Thanks for having me, Jack. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.